Thank you for coming back to my videos again today for more on the subject of conscious parenting. And one of the things I'd like to discuss today is how to approach or manage conflict. Conflict resolution with your children is so key. And to be empowering to our children in the midst of their upsets means that we need to be empowering to ourselves in the midst of our own upsets, so we can be the model of what that looks like for our children. And the world is full of people who hate and they punish and they spank and they yell and they get so prideful. Their pride really gets in the way. It hurts a lot more than it helps people to stay stuck in pride. To move from pride out into more love and more happiness through courage is so much more beneficial than staying in pride or going down in the levels of happiness by turning to hate through pride or anger or fear. And really, I guess our pride comes from fear that we have in the first place. So, but to challenge our fears by observing ourselves, being self-aware, and noticing when we start to get upset about something and feel prideful, intimidating, puffed up, angry, and we feel like our children are out of control, so we have to act somehow strong to make them come back into control. And people mistake pride for being strong. And actually pride is very weakening and it's destructive. It's on the destructive side of the emotional scale. And it really ruins trust in relationships. So if you want to build trust with your children and help them build healthy trust and empathy within themselves, then you need to be able to challenge your fears in the midst of their upsets. And not only that, but stay present with yourself so that you can bring out the best in yourself and then the best in them while they're having their upset. Now, this sounds crazy, right? Like, how in the world am I supposed to do that? When there's 4 or 6 or 10 other people in the room and they're looking at me like I need to take action and be responsible for that child's yelling and having a tantrum in the middle of this store that we're in, or the middle of the library, or wherever they happen to be, right? Where people are watching and they're waiting for that action to be taken to correct that, to shut the child up as fast as they can. Right, and to correct it, to discipline it for being out of control. How dare they act out like that in a store or somewhere anywhere, really, like even at home. Parents sometimes don't even want their children to express their negative emotions at home either. So yes, there's a time and a place for experiencing and expressing our negative emotions, even our most joyful ones, out loud and in a blatant way. But our children need our patience. They need our patience in order to know where to do it and when, right? So, and then they have the patience because we're having patience with them. They will develop the patience within themselves through your example to be able to contain their emotions long enough for you to get somewhere where it's safe for them to feel them, and they'll cooperate with you. So all you would need to do is say, sweetheart, I understand. What all children really need is just to be heard and understood first, or asked nicely for what you want. So sometimes the child might be having a tantrum because they wanted to go down another aisle and you said no, right? So sometimes just saying no to something that they see in the store that they want, like a bag of candy or something, kids send them into a tantrum, that's probably because they're hungry or they're really tired, or they just need more time, quality alone time with you, somewhere besides a store, where they can, have fun too with you, and not do something that's just for you, but quality alone time with you, doing something that benefits them, that is fun for them, not just something that you have to do and you're having them with you while you do it. So to do a meaningful activity for them that they like with them. So sometimes it's because of that they have a tantrum. So maybe you've been too stressed out and had been pulled in like 6 other directions lately with lots of extra activities going on. You haven't had enough time to change your routine over here to get time with your alone quality time with your child. So that's okay. You're a human, you're a parent, and you have a lot of responsibility. You're not always going to be getting everything right and balancing everything perfectly. So it's an opportunity when your child has a tantrum like that for you to reflect on how balanced you're being in your life. And they're showing you, look, you need to get back into balance again. So they're actually doing you a service by having a tantrum. And maybe they asked nicer, not in a nicer way that you just didn't get, or you were given opportunities over here to have more balance with them and you didn't take it because you were too insistent on getting these other things done first. So, or maybe worried about them. So take it easy on yourself, but take it easy on other parents too when they are having this kind of experience, because you never know what they have going on in their life that is causing them to be out at the store and the child to be having a tantrum. It doesn't mean they're a bad parent, whereas you see people in the store and you look at them and they have a kid that's having a tantrum and they think that, a lot of people think that that mom is a really horrible parent because her child has a tantrum in the store. She's not in control and stuff like that. They say all kinds of horrible, mean things, right? But that is so the opposite of what is really actually true for a lot of reasons. And the way that the parent handles their child's upset is really none of anybody else's business. That's between them and their child. So for you to say something, if you're one of those people that really gets angry, if the parent is not scolding their child right away and spanking them to try to get them to shut up, you're creating a lot of karma for yourself through your judgment of them. And you're just asking for yourself to be judged by others for when you do something that isn't pleasing to them. So you can take that or leave it for what it's worth. But to be able to reason with your child isn't going to work when they're having a tantrum in the store. To spank them isn't going to work either. To correct them in any way isn't going to work. If they're tired or they're hungry or they need more quality time with you, to validate their feelings and give them a healthy form of verbal understanding about their upset, and to be really calm and centered within yourself, principle-centered, trusting that your ability to remain calm is going to be the thing that calms them too, is so important. And this is part of being a conscious parent, co-creative parent, because you're being centered in the principles of the universe, first of all. And then you're consciously choosing, even though I'm really worried about what these other people over here are going to think of me, if I don't take control of the situation and do something right now to get this child to stop crying because they don't like it that they're crying. That is actually what a lot of parents face, that fear of being judged by other people as being not good enough, right? So being a conscious parent means you're going to be different. You're going to be handling these situations much differently, much more peacefully and calmly. So those other people are not going to understand that. They're not used to that, and they think it doesn't work. But they don't know the long-term effects of children who have a tantrum and who get spanked in the middle of a store for having an upset that is not their responsibility, because it's the parent's job to keep the child fed and have its naps on time, and to deliver the quality one-on-one time to it that it needs on a regular basis, so that it can be emotionally stable and moral all the time, which is impossible because children also like to test parents' limits and boundaries and test their independence in the world. And they're feeling their feelings of everybody in the store, the children. Probably the parents might be too if they're empathic. And if you're a conscious parent, chances are you are. So, you have a lot going on, but so does that child. Who would ever want to consider spanking them when they have so much going on that is beyond their control and that they don't know what to do with or to do about, other than just saying, help, right? That's what their tantrum is. It's a cry for help. I need help. I need somebody to pay attention to me in the way that I need attention. I need them to validate me and to look at me in the first place, just to know I'm there, right? To say, oh, that's right, I haven't fed you in like 3 hours. You're hungry. And yeah, it's time for you to eat. This is our normal time to eat, right? So yeah, but parents are not perfect either, and we do have things that perhaps happen in life, just like everybody else, where things get unbalanced and we don't eat at the scheduled time, and we don't have an extra snack with us in our car. We're going to the store, we're going to get food, right? So we're like finding it fun that we're going to restock our supply. But yet the child needs to be fed now. So yeah, make an exception. Take the thing that have patience with your child, compassionate understanding, and say, oh, well, let me see what I have in the cart here, that they could eat now, right? To open a little bag of, some little thing like this that they could just snack on while you're shopping. That might be all they need. Instead of saying no, maybe say yes, right? And be more compassionately understanding and gentle with them. And then the other thing is to validate them and say, you know what, I realize I haven't fed you in a while. You're tired. You're hungry, or you're tired. You really, maybe we just need to leave and go home so you can have your nap. And then you accept that. You went to the store at the wrong time. Well, that's okay. Accept it, move forward, do the responsible thing for you and your child and the others around too, because it is something that is distracting and maybe very appalling or unpleasant for the other people watching, because they're depressed. They don't want to see other people crying. They have enough of sadness in their own hearts themselves that they haven't felt yet. So it's really hard for them to see other people crying too, and not having anyone to deal with it for them makes it even worse for those people who are watching, who are depressed. So keep that in mind too, and have empathy for them if they start yelling at you, or trying to convince you to do it different, or telling you to shut the child up. Just do what you have to do. And I know I've been told that before, but I understood that was coming from a person who's actually really depressed themselves and is unable to handle another person crying in front of them without somebody doing something to help them right away, because they're starving for that themselves. They're just not acknowledging it, and they're not sure how to go about asking for what they need either. But they're just like that child having a tantrum. They don't know how to ask for what they want other than through depression. And so it's no different than a 2-year-old having a tantrum. They're just in an adult body and it's coming out in a different way through depression. So be gentle with yourself first for being different. Be gentle with your children for being who they are and acting the way they are. There's so much that's beyond their control that they need your help and your understanding with, and your presence and patience with, but your principle-centeredness with too. When you're being principle-centered, you're connecting with your higher self, and you're drawing on your resources then, the natural resources that God gave us, of our happiness, our stability, our mental and like clarity, and our intuition. Those are resources that we can draw on in the midst of a situation like that to show our children and the other world around us our true strength comes from our authenticity and our integrity and the ability to respond to situations. Even though we're afraid, our ability to challenge that fear by choosing love instead. To acknowledge we have fear, and then say, well, even though I feel this way, I still love, regard, accept, and forgive myself. I acknowledge I made a mistake here, somewhere along the way. I'll figure out what it is in just a second. But I'm going to be willing to give myself that comfort first. Then I can go to comforting my child in a healthy way, because I'm doing that for myself. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense to you, to those of you who get really angry when you see somebody like me addressing a child's tantrum in a completely different way than you would. So thank you for listening today. Have a great week.